Hey guys, Matt, IronTrap Garage, and today we are going to be working on the rear end for the Schroll Coupe. So this car had a Ford 8-inch in it, early Ford 8-inch in it, and it had all kinds of bracketry and things kind of cobbled together and welded on it. Some good, some really bad, nothing's good actually. So I went and sent a bunch of stuff to get blasted. This was being the main thing. I left it all together so we didn't get any media like inside of the axle tubes or all that stuff, and cleaned everything off. It'll make disassembly easy. So I think what I'm going to be doing is probably buying a whole entire center section already set up. There's a bunch of guys online that do it and sell them already set up, and it's so affordable it's almost not worth it to do it yourself. I don't have the skill set, so I'd have to ask some friends, and so I'm probably just going to order that for the speed of things. But I want to pull this apart, make sure that the axles are okay in it. We're 99% sure that this has the spider gears welded up in this thing, so we want to see how bad it is inside, get everything apart, and then we can get it all prepped and ready. And I'm going to go back over a lot of these welds and probably add some bracing and things to it just for peace of mind, and get this thing all ready and hopefully get it painted by the end of this video so that it's back together, painted, and we can roll it underneath the car, and we'll be one step closer to putting the body back down on the frame. There we go. Right. Yeah, that's why we do this, because a little bit of media even got behind the, the bearing carrier.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Even though it was bolted together, it still gets in there. So.
Sand gets everywhere.
So that's why I wanted to keep it all bolted together. And, all right. Splines look okay on this. That's a bonus, or a good thing. I do need to order those bearings.
Yeah.
This car I always just expect something wacky. You take it apart and they like stick welded the axles together.
Right, yeah. Right, shorten the axles and stick welded them back together.
Yeah, they bought a housing and they didn't have the axles, so they just shortened just the axles instead of getting them. You never know.
Yep.
I can get the slide hammer out if it doesn't. This is step one. You get the slide hammer, which I think I have.
There it goes.
There it goes. Just start with the.
Yeah. The least destructive method.
Yeah. I mean, I guess slide hammers.
Oh, slide hammer's perfect for the job. That's one of the things a slide hammer is actually good for.
Yeah. And once I get this it's just caught on threads. So even if we had a slide hammer, we're gonna have this problem. There's our old ancient gasket. There we go. I think we're freed up off that now. There we go.
There it is.
That's all it was. It's caught on the threads.
Yep.
So even the slide hammer really would have it. That's just crap.
Yeah, we're gonna need a drain pan to pull the center section out.
I got those. Alright. Nothing seems weird on them. Splines look okay. Alright. I'm sure the center section will be a different story. That had been wondering since we got the car how.
Right, yeah, what exactly is hiding in there?
There should be a drain pan. I think if the internet tells me right, the 8 inches you can tell on the bottom here you can't get a socket around it. I have to use a wrench.
Okay.
Versus a 9 inch is the, I think that very bottom one.
Gotcha. I don't know much about, definitely don't know much about
Ford stuff?
Ford stuff, no.
Me and the Chevy guy work on Ford stuff. It's like a...
Well, they were wrong about that. I got a socket on it.
Oh. It's the other way around. Or it looks like you can. I don't know.
I think I got them all.
Okay. Yep. I don't know. Maybe it looks like, I don't know. Alright, let's take this out. Let's see.
Alright.
We were counting the spline count on the axle, and turns out this isn't an 8-inch Ford. It's actually an earlier 49 to 50, like mid 50s or early 50s Ford, possibly like a shoebox rear. Now that we got everything opened up and took it apart, so not what I thought. So we may not be able to get parts, but we're gonna see what this center section looks like. Got it?
Yeah, I got this if you want to.
Almost out, go up, lift up a little bit. Alright. Just the splines, of course. Okay. Ready for birth?
Here we go.
Alright. I will clear a spot out. Alright, so like I mentioned, we were taking this apart. I am definitely new to all of this. I'm still a young guy. So this has 17 spline axles. That threw me off when I pulled it out, because I was reading that the 8 inches all have 28 splines. So not right. So I started looking up, found that with Ford, they got the shoebox Ford rears. They might have went later. They used it's like the grandfather of the 9 inch. So we measured the ring gear, and it's what, 7 inch on it. So so anyways, we took this all apart, and here it is. So you can see, I'm gonna try and get over here where they welded the, go ahead and you can see it in there. Yeah, kind of see it. Spin it again. Ah, there it is. Right in there. You know, there's some welds, and it's actually not horrible, but this thing would be a nightmare to drive on the street, so I really don't want to run this. So what we're going to do is I'm going to start making some phone calls and see if I can find a center section. I called my buddy Pete, who's one of the all-knowing Ford guys here, and he was telling me that the automatic shoebox Fords used to have a good highway gear in them. And if you can find them, that's a good center section to use. So I'm going to dig around, see if we can find that, because I want to retain this old parts that are in the car. I know I'm being stubborn. I could put an 8 inch in it or a 9 inch, but I kind of want to keep as much of the stuff in the car that was in it when I got it. So that's what we're going to do. So anyways, that's where it's at. I'm going to go make some calls, see if we can do it running around, see if I can find a center section. And also in the meantime, I'm going to work on cleaning up some of this stuff that's cobbled together. I'm going to basically start like boxing a little bit in, go over some of these welds and just make them a little bit better so it's a little safer. And then we can paint everything up and roll it underneath with the axles in it and keep moving forward on the car. Alright, so I made a quick little trip to visit a local early Ford stash that I am able to buy from occasionally. Thanks to Patty and Tim for letting me always kind of come over and dig around for stuff I need for my car. So I knew there would be some here. I talked to my buddy Pete, and these two guys used to run around and cut stuff out at the junkyards, and Pete was telling me that the shoebox rears, the automatic cars, had highway gears in them. So all the other cars, especially the ones with overdrive, had really low gears in them. And when I counted this, it had like 4 10s or something in it, the one that's welded. And I wanted the one with the highway gears, which were like 330 or 340, I think, which would be a lot better for driving it on the street. So I can keep this one around, and if we ever want to go beat on it and rip around, it has the welded diff, and we can, you know, put it in and race or do whatever we want to do. But we have this one for just normal street driving, which it's an open rear, but hey, whatever, we're working with what we got. So this one was marked on the top, and I double checked it, 13/43. So what you do when you're checking these, most of you guys probably know this, you can divide the numbers into each other and it gives you your gear ratio. So I counted the teeth on everything and confirmed these have a 10, I forget what the ring is, but the pinion has a 10 tooth count on it, and that's how you can tell they're the real low geared ones. So this is the highway cruiser one. It was sitting on a shelf there in this stash, and that's why it's always good to you know, check with local guys. It's half the fun with this stuff is finding it. So I went from yesterday being like, oh crap, I don't know where I'm going to find anything, to today having like my perfect setup, a highway cruiser rear. So this one's in really great shape overall, and I'm really happy to have it. So I've already started, as you guys saw, welding up the rear end. We're going to clean all that stuff up and get that ready. I got to clean this thing all up, and then I ordered a bunch of gaskets and seals and bearings and stuff from the one shoebox website, so when that stuff shows up we can kind of put this back in. But for now we can keep moving on our on the rear axle housing. So but yeah, super psyched, got this, learned something new, and this is kind of a cool rear to use, because you know, obviously if you're doing the period correct thing, while this isn't as strong as an 8 or a 9 inch, it's actually a hell of a lot stronger than a banjo rear, because it's got actual you know, dropout center section and real axles that are splined, so you're not going to break keyways. So you could go either way, but this one's definitely a lot easier to service. So I kind of dig this. If this all works out in this car, I may start gathering some of these rears just to have for some of these kind of like 50s era hot rod builds. So that's a quick little update on this video. About ready to start painting here soon. Alright, so got the rear hanging outside on the engine hoist. That was just the easiest way to get it up in the air. And we're going to use some Eastwood 2K airspray products, just because it is really hot, and it is a pain in the butt cleaning a gun when it's this hot. As soon as you get done spraying, you end up having the gun gumming up. But this, we can just spray it, recycle the can, get another can, and keep moving. So I'm going to start off with some epoxy primer, get the whole thing in primer, and then I'm going to spray with some 2K ceramic chassis black like we've been using on the frame and everything else, so that it matches. So get my respirator on, start spraying, sweat my butt off just like usual. All right, so we got the spring, or I got the spring all back together, and we got the rear all painted up and looking a lot better. I went over some of the welds on the rear end. We didn't want to go overboard with making this look too much like the car was totally redone, so I'm trying to dance between correcting some things, making it safe, but not going overboard to where it looks like it has some kind of modern high-end street rod suspension underneath of it. So I feel good about everything, and I think it will work just fine. Learned a lot about rear ends in general. To be honest, I was kind of a noob with 8, 9 inches and all that different stuff. I knew a little bit, but I hadn't really learned all the little differences. Now I know a lot because we've found a lot out about this rear that isn't an 8 or a 9 inch. So yeah, so we got this all back together. I got a good center section. I have that other center section that I'm gonna hold on to that has the spiders welded. So that way if we ever do want to beat on it and take it somewhere racing or whatever, or put lower gears, we can drop the center section out and put another one in and, you know, and move along. But I think for making this a street car at this point, this will be a lot more drivable and be a lot better. So I am working on some parts, so I'm kind of at a standstill. That's why we're ending the video. Waiting on all the brake parts to come in and some of that stuff. So it should be in a day or two, but I didn't want to kind of bore you guys with that part of the process. We're going to be doing axle bearings. I know people are going to be asking about that. I'm waiting for those to come in and we can heat, knock those off and press new ones on. And then we will put everything back together, put it under the car. We're moving along really, really good. I'm waiting on some clutch parts to come in, then we can put the clutch and the engine and trans back together and drop that in. And once we get all that stuff kind of set up, we'll be really close to dropping the body back down, which I'm very excited for. So thank you guys for following along. Appreciate it. Catch you later.